But we had this conversation yesterday. You heard Max, and basically, essentially what he's saying is that Kevin Durant might not even be Kevin Durant again. And the question I had asked him is who's in the way of potentially the Lakers repeating? Max had said the Warriors. We were also bringing up the Nets. Where are you on this in terms of KD, those Brooklyn Nets right across the bridge?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to point out that it will be the Golden State Warriors standing in the way of the Los Angeles Lakers. With Klay Thompson and Steph Curry coming back, they've got a top pick in the draft. Draymond is there as well. I definitely think if Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are healthy, look the hell out. They will at the very least be in the conference finals. I ain't sleeping on the Golden State Warriors at all. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the greatest shooting, or is the greatest shooting backcourt in the history of mankind. There has never been a backcourt that can shoot like these two brothers together, period. Now, with Kevin Durant, let me say this. I'm not as pessimistic about Kevin Durant as Max is. He's a career 27-point per game scorer, 49% shooting from the field, 38% from three-point range. This is not a guy, even though he is athletic, this is not a guy who has the success of his basketball career predicated on his athleticism. He is a marksman who happens to be 6'11" with a 7'6" wingspan, who can pull up from 30 anytime he wants. He could get his shot off without jumping. And that's not to say he can't jump. He didn't have to, because that's how lanky and tall this dude is. And he's a sniper personified. Make no mistake about it. I expect Kevin Durant to come back next year in his sleep, averaging 25 a game. The question is the chemistry that he'll have with Kyrie Irving. But as an individual,
new coach.
And the new coach, Steve Nash. But what I'm saying is, as an individual, I have no reservations. And when I say none, I mean zero. I have zero reservations about the individual greatness of Kevin Durant, because his athleticism is not going to dictate his success. His marksmanship will, because he can shoot the basketball. Now, I'll tell you when things get uncomfortable for Kevin Durant. And he's not going to like hearing this, but I don't give a damn, because it's just the truth. We all know that Kevin Durant sat up there and decided to go to Golden State. It was a better move, blah, 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 blah. We also know you get tired because people saying LeBron's the king, he's the man. You're not. And you wanted to show that, guess what? If you had some all-stars with you, watch the noise you would make. And obviously he did that. But LeBron James now sits here as the reigning defending NBA champion, a four-time champion, who was a man amongst boys as a 35-year-old in his 17th season in the NBA. What some would be like, he's lost a step athletically. Didn't matter. LeBron was dominant. You KD with Kyrie, particularly with Kyrie opening his mouth about, it's the first time in his career that he's going to have faith in somebody, taking a shot ahead of himself, blah, blah, blah. On the podcast that KD was emceeing, excuse me, when y'all come back, we're watching. Jalen Rose said he's got Brooklyn against LA in next year's NBA Finals. Well, guess what? They ain't getting there without KD. And by the way, we all anticipate that LeBron will probably be, Denver, of course, Denver and the Clippers, you got to take that into account. But we're waiting. KD in the Eastern Conference, if KD's healthy and Kyrie's healthy, nobody wants to hear any excuses. As much as we were proud of the Miami Heat, you ain't looking at the Miami Heat and going like this. They should beat KD and Kyrie healthy in Brooklyn. We shall see.
Well, first of all, when you say KD was like, let me show you what I could do with some all-stars, and went to Golden State, he had all-stars. He had plenty of all-stars throughout his career and couldn't get it done. He went to a place where there was another MVP. If you have two MVP caliber players, not someone who once won the MVP awards, not operating on that level anymore, but both of you are MVP caliber year in and year out, that team, in the absence of another team like that, is going to win the championship Almost every year in NBA history, that's how it works, where two MVP caliber players on the same team. It just happened this year with LeBron and AD. Okay, let's start there. He went to Golden State, already a 73-win team, already an MVP caliber player with Steph Curry. They added another MVP. It was a wrap after that. That doesn't prove a whole lot. We already know that Kevin Durant can really play. Here's the issue, Stephen A. You say his game isn't predicated on athleticism as much as some other guys. He can shoot. He's smooth. Matter of fact, he can pass nowadays. All those things. He can average 25 in his sleep, and I agree with that. But that's already being a little bit slick with the language, Stephen A. Averaging 25 in his sleep and being able to do a lot of great things offensively still, and still being an all-star, I see Kevin Durant being able to do that. Yes, that's not just KD. KD's not just an all-star who can average 25. KD is an all-time great. Because, then 7 feet with a 7'6" wingspan, because he can shoot, defend, he can now also pass, he can drive, he is an unstoppable kind of offensive player. I think the odds say that he will be somewhat diminished from that coming back from an Achilles. Still an all-star, but not an MVP. If you start to think of him, instead of a KD-level player, as more of a Paul George-level player, I know it's a little controversial the way he just played in the playoffs, but you know what I mean. An all-star, but not an MVP. And now you think of the Nets, it's not the same thing. Kyrie with another good all-star, but not an MVP caliber player, that means that team has no players like that. So that's what I'm trying to say. It may be subtle, but you can anticipate some diminishing of KD's value as a player. If he doesn't do that, if he winds up like Breonna Stewart, power to him. He will have upset the odds, as Tom Brady did, defying the cliff. But those are the odds. He's up
but what are you saying?
the odds.
Is he going to upset the odds
being
or
100%
not?
of himself?
Is he going to upset the odds or not?
I don't think he will.
Okay, I think he will.
I don't think he will. I agree with you. He'll be an all-star, but I don't know that he'll be an MVP.
이번에 준비한 영상 시청해주셔서 정말 감사하고 앞으로 더 흥미롭고 유익한 NBA 내용으로 돌아오겠습니다. 영상 재밌게 보셨다면 구독과 좋아요 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.